Eliza never believed in shortcuts. Not because she was noble or disciplined from the beginning, but because life had quietly shown her, over and over again, that anything easy never stayed. She grew up in a small apartment on the edge of a restless American city, where the sound of sirens blended with late-night traffic, and dreams often felt louder than reality. Her world wasn't built on comfort, it was built on survival, and survival had a way of sharpening ambition into something almost painful. In her early 20s, while others chased stability, Eliza chased something harder to define. She worked long shifts at a dimly lit diner, the kind where the coffee was always a little too bitter and the neon sign outside flickered like it was tired of holding on. Every night, she watched people come and go, businessmen, students, exhausted parents, and she studied them. Not their faces, but their patterns. She wanted to understand what separated those who stayed stuck from those who somehow moved forward. It wasn't long before she realized something uncomfortable: greatness wasn't about talent or luck. It was about what people were willing to give up. And most people, she noticed, weren't willing to give up much at all. That thought stayed with her. Eliza began waking up earlier than necessary, stealing hours from sleep to teach herself skills she couldn't afford to learn in school. She didn't have a roadmap, just fragments, online tutorials, borrowed books, trial and error. Some nights, exhaustion hit so hard she questioned everything. But she kept going, not because she felt strong, but because stopping felt worse. Her friends didn't understand the change. They invited her out less when she kept saying no. Conversations became shorter, then rarer. Slowly, without any dramatic moment, her world grew quieter. It wasn't loneliness exactly, it was distance. The kind that forms when you're building something no one else can see yet. Money was always tight. There were weeks she had to choose between better meals and better tools for her work. And more often than not, she chose the tools. Not because she didn't care about comfort, but because she cared more about momentum. Every small investment felt like a step away from the life she feared being trapped in. But progress was painfully slow. Months turned into years, and there were no breakthroughs, no sudden success stories. Just small wins that didn't look like much from the outside: a project completed, a skill improved, a mistake avoided the second time. To anyone else, it would have seemed like nothing was happening. But to Eliza, those small shifts were everything. Still, doubt had a way of creeping in during quiet moments. There were nights she sat by her window, watching the city lights blur into something almost dreamlike, wondering if she had misunderstood everything. If greatness was real, or just something people talked about to make struggle feel meaningful. She questioned whether the price she was paying, her time, her energy, her relationships, was worth something she couldn't even guarantee. But every time that doubt reached its peak, something inside her refused to let go. Not hope exactly. Something more stubborn than that. A refusal to accept that her life would stay small. So she kept going. Eventually, the work started to shift in ways she couldn't ignore. What once felt impossible became familiar. What once took days now took hours. Opportunities didn't appear overnight, but they started appearing more often: small collaborations, minor recognition, chances to prove herself in ways she hadn't been offered before. And with each step forward, the cost became clearer. Success didn't feel like a sudden victory. It felt like carrying more weight. More responsibility. More expectations. The higher she climbed, the less room there was for mistakes. And the people who once doubted her. Some of them returned, but not always for the reasons she had hoped. She realized then that greatness didn't fix anything. It just changed the problems. By the time Eliza reached a point where others finally began to notice her work, she had already lost pieces of her old life. Friendships that faded beyond repair. Moments she never got back. A version of herself that once knew how to rest without guilt. But she also gained something she couldn't have imagined before: a quiet confidence. Not loud or showy, but steady. The kind that comes from knowing exactly how much it took to get where you are. And that confidence changed how she saw everything. She no longer chased validation the way she used to. She didn't need constant proof that she was on the right path. Because she understood now, the real reward wasn't the recognition, or the money, or even the success itself. It was who she had become in the process. Still, the story didn't end there. Because greatness, she learned, isn't a destination. It's a constant negotiation. A balance between ambition and cost. Between growth and what you're willing to sacrifice to keep growing. There came a point where Eliza had to ask herself a different kind of question. Not, can I go further, but, should I? The work demanded more of her than ever. Longer hours. Bigger risks. Harder decisions. And each choice carried consequences, not just for her career, but for her life. The line between dedication and obsession blurred, and she could feel it. For the first time in years, she hesitated. She began to notice things she had ignored before, the way exhaustion settled deeper, the way silence felt heavier, the way success, once so distant, now felt strangely normal. And with that normalcy came a realization that shook her more than any failure ever had. If she kept going at this pace, she might achieve everything she once dreamed of, but she might lose everything else. That thought forced her to slow down, not completely, but enough to see clearly again. Enough to understand that the price of greatness isn't just paid once. It's paid continuously, in decisions both big and small. So she adjusted. Not by giving up, but by redefining what winning meant. She started setting boundaries where she once saw none. Protecting time where she once sacrificed everything. Rebuilding parts of her life she had let disappear. It wasn't easy. Growth never is. But this time, it felt different. Not like a fight, but like alignment. And in that balance, she found something unexpected. Peace. Not the kind that comes from having an easy life, but the kind that comes from choosing your life, fully aware of the cost, and fully willing to pay it, but only for what truly matters. Eliza never stopped chasing greatness. She just stopped letting it take everything from her. The first time Eliza said no to a big opportunity, it didn't feel empowering. It felt wrong. The email sat open on her laptop, the glow of the screen reflecting in her tired eyes. A high-paying client. Long-term contract. The kind of offer she used to dream about when she was counting every dollar and stretching every hour. Months ago, she would have accepted instantly. No hesitation. No questions. Now her fingers hovered over the keyboard, unmoving. Because she understood something she hadn't before, every yes had a hidden cost. And this one came with long nights, constant availability, and the kind of pressure that would erase the balance she had fought so hard to rebuild. She closed the laptop. Not dramatically. Not with certainty. Just, quietly. That night, sleep didn't come easy. The next morning felt different. Not lighter. Not easier. But clearer. For years, Eliza had been running forward without stopping long enough to ask where she was actually going. Progress had become a habit, automatic, relentless. But direction? That had always been assumed. Now she was questioning everything. Her work was growing. Her income was steady. Her name, slowly, was beginning to carry weight in certain circles. People respected her. Some even admired her. But her life still felt narrow. Like everything revolved around output. Deadlines. Deliverables. Performance. Even her thoughts had started to sound like work. What's next? How do I scale? What's the smarter move? She had built success. But she hadn't built a life around it. So she started small. She began reclaiming hours. Not many, just a few at first. An evening walk without her phone. A morning without rushing straight into work. At first, it felt inefficient. Almost irresponsible. Like she was falling behind. But something unexpected happened in those quiet spaces. Her mind started to breathe again. Ideas came easier. Not forced, not squeezed out of exhaustion, but naturally. Creativity returned in a way she hadn't felt in years. And with it came a sharper kind of thinking. She wasn't just working hard anymore. She was working smart. But growth always tests you. A few weeks later, things got complicated. A project she had invested heavily in, time, energy, reputation, started falling apart. The client grew difficult. Expectations shifted. Deadlines tightened without warning. Old Eliza would have pushed harder. Slept less. Worked more. Forced it to succeed no matter the cost. And at first, she tried. She stayed up late again. Skipped meals. Ignored the boundaries she had just started building. And almost instantly, she felt it. That familiar burn. The exhaustion creeping back. The clarity fading. The quiet tension returning to her chest. It was like stepping back into a version of herself she had already outgrown. She stopped. Not because it was easy. But because she finally recognized the pattern. For the first time, Eliza chose differently. She had a direct conversation with the client, clear, calm, unapologetic. She reset expectations. Drew lines. Offered solutions, but refused to sacrifice everything to fix something that wasn't entirely hers to carry. It was a risk. They could walk away. She could lose the deal. But something inside her stayed steady. Because this time, she wasn't desperate. She was deliberate. They didn't walk away. They adjusted. And in that moment, something shifted deeper than any financial win could reach. Respect. Not just from them. From herself. The more Eliza leaned into this new way of working, the more her world began to change. Her business didn't collapse, it improved. Clients valued her time more. Projects became more focused. Results became stronger. And for the first time, success didn't feel like something she was chasing. It felt like something she was directing. But the outside world didn't fully understand. Some people saw her slower pace and assumed she had lost her edge. Others questioned why she wasn't pushing harder, scaling faster, doing more. You could be way bigger by now. You're holding yourself back. You're wasting momentum. The comments didn't come from bad intentions. But they hit something real. Because a part of her still believed that maybe they were right. That maybe greatness required constant pressure. Constant sacrifice. Constant motion. That doubt followed her one night as she sat alone in her apartment, the city humming quietly outside her window. She thought about the version of herself from a year ago, the one who would have said yes to everything, worked through anything, endured everything without question. That version of her had built everything she now stood on. But it also nearly broke her. And suddenly, the answer became simple. Growth isn't just about adding more. Sometimes it's about refusing more. From that point on, Eliza became more intentional than ever. She chose her projects carefully. She protected her time fiercely. She allowed space in her life, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. And slowly, something deeper than success began to form. Stability. Not the fragile kind built on constant effort. But the kind rooted in clarity. Months passed. Her work continued to grow, but so did something else, her sense of control. Not over everything. But over what mattered. She reconnected with parts of life she had ignored. Not by going backward, but by integrating them into who she had become. She wasn't trying to balance two lives anymore. She was building one. Still, the journey wasn't finished. Because with every level of growth comes a new kind of challenge, and Eliza could feel it approaching. Bigger opportunities. Higher stakes. Decisions that wouldn't just affect her schedule, but her entire future. This time, the question wouldn't be about survival. Or even balance. It would be about identity. Who she truly wanted to become. And what she was still willing to give up to get there. Because the higher you go, the more expensive every decision becomes. The next opportunity didn't arrive quietly. It came fast, heavy, and undeniable. A national-level firm reached out, one of the biggest she'd ever been noticed by. The kind of name that could change everything overnight. Bigger contracts. More visibility. Access to rooms she had never been invited into before. It was everything she had once worked for. And yet, when Eliza read the proposal, she didn't feel excitement first. She felt the weight. The expectations were clear without being stated outright: full commitment, high availability, aggressive growth targets. This wasn't just work. It was ownership of outcomes at a scale she had never carried before. Her chest tightened slightly. Not from fear of failing, but from understanding what it would demand. She didn't answer right away. Days passed. For the first time in years, Eliza allowed herself to pause without guilt. She didn't fill the silence with busy work or distraction. She let the question sit. Not, is this a good opportunity? But, is this the life I want? She started observing her days more closely. The quiet mornings she had fought to reclaim. The steady rhythm she had built. The clarity she had earned through restraint, not chaos. She thought about the version of herself who used to chase every chance, believing that saying yes was the only way forward. That version of her had been powerful, but also fragile, constantly one step away from burnout. And then she looked at who she was now. Focused. Deliberate. Grounded. She had built something real, not just a business, but a way of living that didn't feel like survival anymore. And suddenly, the answer became uncomfortable. Because this opportunity could take her further than ever. But it could also take her away from everything she had just learned to protect. One evening, she sat by her window again, the same place where she had once questioned everything. The city lights stretched endlessly, each one representing someone chasing something, sacrificing something, becoming something. She realized then that greatness isn't rare because of talent. It's rare because of the cost. Most people either never start, or they lose themselves along the way. Very few choose consciously. The next morning, Eliza opened her laptop. She read the offer one more time. Every line. Every expectation. Every hidden trade. Then she started typing. Not a negotiation. Not a compromise. A decision. She declined. It didn't feel dramatic. No rush of emotion. No instant relief. Just a quiet, steady certainty. She sat back, exhaled slowly, and for a moment, nothing happened. The world didn't change. The city didn't pause. Life moved forward like it always did, but something inside her shifted permanently. In the weeks that followed, doubt visited her more than once. Did I just walk away from something huge? Did I limit myself? Will I regret this? Those questions didn't disappear overnight. But they also didn't control her. Because every day that passed confirmed something deeper. She wasn't stuck. She was choosing. Instead of chasing scale at any cost, Eliza doubled down on intention. She refined her work. Focused on fewer, higher quality projects. Built systems that supported her life instead of consuming it. And slowly, something remarkable happened. Her growth didn't stop. It evolved. Clients respected her boundaries more. Her work carried more depth. Her reputation became stronger, not because she was everywhere, but because she was precise. Time moved differently now. Not rushed. Not wasted. Used. She found herself experiencing moments she used to overlook, a calm morning with no urgency, a conversation that wasn't cut short by deadlines, a sense of presence that success alone had never given her. And in those moments, she understood something most people learn too late. Winning means nothing if you don't recognize your own life while you're living it. Months later, another opportunity came. Different. Aligned. Challenging, but not consuming. This time, she didn't hesitate. She accepted. Not because it was bigger, but because it fit. That's when everything clicked. Greatness isn't about saying yes to everything that can elevate you. It's about saying no to everything that can destroy you, even if it looks like success. Years passed. Eliza's name carried weight now. Her work spoke for itself. From the outside, it looked like she had built something extraordinary. And she had. But not in the way people assumed. One night, sitting in a better apartment, in a quieter part of the city, she reflected on the journey. The early mornings. The empty bank account. The isolation. The pressure. The choices. All of it had shaped her. But the most important moments weren't the wins. They were the decisions. The times she chose long-term over immediate. Clarity over chaos. Self-respect over external validation. She smiled slightly, not out of pride, but understanding. Because now she knew the truth most people never fully grasp: the price of greatness isn't just hard work. It's discipline. It's sacrifice. It's patience. But more than anything, it's the courage to decide what greatness actually means to you. And the strength to protect that definition, no matter how tempting the world's version may be. Eliza didn't stop growing. She didn't stop building. She didn't stop aiming higher. But she never again forgot the lesson that cost her everything to learn: you can have success. You can have peace. But only if you're willing to choose both, again and again, every single day.